58 years old, he still lives like a student.
2 people live in this room. There's my roommate's bed, and here is mine. I have to admit that as time passes by, I feel a bit cramped.
But Ryo never complains about his job. Since he has not reached the maximum amount of radiation exposure permitted by the company, he hopes he can extend his contract.
I have so much debt, especially because of my real estate loan, that I have to work hard to improve my situation. My children don't consider me a hero. They even think I'm a bit of a useless father. Their mothers managed to convince them of that. But no matter what they think, I do this job for them, because I'm head of the family.
TEPCO and its numerous subcontractors have had no problem recruiting thousands of workers who have rotated through shifts at the plant since disaster struck on March 11th. Japan is facing increasing poverty and widespread job insecurity. In Iwaki, this Japanese employment agency is in charge of recruiting candidates.
This is an advertisement for a maintenance operator to check the machines at Fukushima Daiichi and Daini nuclear plants. The salary is around 1,700 to 2,500 euros per month. Of course, we would get even more applicants if the salaries were higher.
To get better paid jobs, you need to move away from the official recruiters. You need to hang out in bars at night, where small subcontractors are looking to hire. That's where these 2 workers take us.
I'll die from smoking cigarettes long before I die of radiation.
Takuo and Masanuro have a mercenary approach. They sell their services to whoever offers the best pay. And at the moment, it happens to be the Fukushima nuclear plant that is offering the best paid work.
The employment agency is useless. We found a job at the plant through word of mouth and friends. There was no need to discuss the risk with the company.
We knew perfectly well that the job was dangerous when we accepted it.
So I would say that the salary is 1.5 times higher than before.
This is a time of trade-off between risks and salary rewards. Most of the time, employees of small subcontracting families take the biggest risks.
A few weeks after the accident, I was angry at TEPCO because they all left. There were only the employees of the subcontracting companies left. One day, I broke a camera that was getting in the way of my work. So a TEPCO employee came to see what happened. It was the first time I saw a TEPCO worker.
Yushi Saito also works in the nuclear industry. He is in charge of decontaminating vehicles at J Village. In this Iwaki city bar, he sings about the disastrous effect the Fukushima accident had on his region.
I come from Tamioka, which is 3 miles away from the nuclear plant. I wrote this song because my family has been evacuated due to radiation. Tamioka is known for its cherry blossoms, and there are no words to express the sadness in my town.
Despite it all, Yushi is no anti-nuclear campaigner.
I feel uncomfortable criticizing nuclear energy. I have lived close to the plant since I was a child, and before and after the disaster. The nuclear plant has put food on my table.
Fukushima workers, at least most of them, feel they have no choice but to work at the plant. They don't think too much of the dangers of radiation. For them, it is just a survey meter that beeps from time to time, and an oppressive mask that they need to keep on no matter what. But the risks here are real. 100 workers have already reached the 100 millisieverts threshold, above which the risk of cancer spikes. It will take many years to know how frequently those risks will translate into medical reality.
All right, and we're now joined live from Tokyo by Gavin Blair, one of the reporters who helped make this report. Gavin, first question to you. The workers of the power plant who work for the company TEPCO are normally not allowed to speak to reporters. So how did you get the people we see in this report to speak to you? Why did they break that code of silence?
That's right. I think a lot of them quite simply wanted to tell their story. And they also disagreed with the kind of cloak of secrecy that TEPCO has thrown up around the work around the plant. TEPCO and the authorities in Japan lost a lot of trust in the early days of this crisis by not being seen to release information in a timely fashion. And TEPCO is hardly doing itself any favours now by stopping their workers there speaking to the press and also denying the press access to the plant. Cyril.
Gavin, there's this incredible scene in the report where one of the workers says he's at the end of a several-month contract, I believe it is, and he says he's already had his quota of radiation, so he's going back home now. What are the risks exactly that these workers are facing, and are they aware that they're facing these very high risks?
That's right. They do, of course, wear Geiger counters, dosimeters all the time to record their levels, and once they do reach the set level by TEPCO, they're not allowed to work at the plant or any other nuclear facility for a year. The truth is there's still a big debate as what the effects of these kind of doses of radiation are on people. I think these guys are aware of the risks. However, the truth is that no one fully knows the long-term effects, and those probably won't be found out for decades. Look at what happened to the workers at Chernobyl and what happened there. It's probably unlikely any of these workers will actually die from what they've received so far.
How are these men protected? Is it just that plastic sheeting that we see in the report? And if so, is that enough?
That essentially is it. Those are, of course, radiation suits and masks. They are specifically designed, and they carry their dosimeters. However, there's no doubt that the levels of radiation at some areas of those plants are very high. They are, of course, taking great risks. Cyril.
Gavin, you make it very clear in this report that some of the men who are working there, not working there because of an ideal, they're there because they need to make a buck, because the alternative for them is unemployment or a considerably lower wage. Now, these stories of poverty and deprivation are not really the kind of thing we're used to seeing out of Japan.
That's absolutely right. And Japan was very proud of the equality that it did enjoy during the so-called economic miracle. However, the truth is things have changed. The wealth gap has opened up there. According to some measures, Japan is now the fourth most unequal country amongst the OECD nations, just behind countries such as Mexico and the US. One of the problems here is the welfare state. It was really designed for full employment, and that was fine while that existed. However, that is no longer the case in Japan, and the fact is that the system isn't really designed to cope with that. Cyril.
Gavin, that inequality is something I have to say you show very strikingly in this report. Men who are taking these risks, going into radioactive environments, simply to make 2,000 euros, to make a buck, to earn a decent salary and pay for their families' needs. Thank you very much, Gavin Blair, for joining us from Tokyo. Thank you for watching the show. And remember, you can watch this report again online, www.france24.com, in 3 languages, English, French, and Arabic. We're back next week for another edition of Reporters. Thanks for watching.